I'm so excited to hear Helen's talk. I know she's excited to give it. This is Hold Your Horses for Metaphysics. Good thing we are all metaphysicians here, and we're going to get a good helping of it today. And I'm so excited. Bring it on up here, Helen F. Wright, our new ministry coordinator. All right. Let me get, oh, and here you are. Just in cases.
Good morning. Well, I'm really excited to be able to share this talk today. And I came up with this title a couple of weeks ago because I knew things were going to get busy for me personally. I had no idea how crazy busy they were going to get for everyone else too. So I started this talk title thinking about metamorphosis and migration and the butterfly. I used to raise monarch butterflies in Wisconsin, and just thinking about transformation. So the talk today is going to be about the spiritual teachings from the monarch butterfly about change of form and transformation, metamorphosis, migration, and what we can learn about ourselves and our spiritual path. An alternative title could have been, how do I get somewhere we've never been before? Or how do we get somewhere we've never been before? I think we're living that. How do we become something that we've never been before? Or have we? So it's the Star Trek to boldly go where no one has ever gone before is really the message of the butterfly, the butterfly that migrates, and it's a message for us in changing times. So I know that you've heard my story. So after the neck surgery and my broken neck and the Lyme disease, all of that kind of thing, I was at a stage where I could actually get out of bed and move. I'd got to be able to drive again, and that was fantastic. I felt I'd been on lockdown myself for months. I had been at home, not being able to go out. So I was praying for something that I could do, something I could do to be of service. And I connected with the butterfly house. And it had to be something that was light. Butterflies are light. So I connected with the butterfly house, and at first, it was September, I was joined and I was doing talks for the public and helping little children not to grab because it was beautiful and they wanted it, but sort of educating the little ones and working, and we had so many monarch butterflies, and then I helped with the tagging, and that's a really delicate task. The fourth generation of monarch butterflies, the ones we were going to release from the butterfly house, they travel 1,800 miles from Wisconsin, Minnesota, that area, all the way to the sanctuaries in New Mexico. They've never been there before. They're the fourth generation. They are I think it's great grandchildren of the ones that actually were coming back from Mexico to America. They've never been there before. So we're going to be exploring that a little bit. So the fourth generation is really different from the first three generations. The fourth generation is usually born between September and October and goes through exactly the same process as the first, second, and third generations, except for one part. But the fourth generation of monarch butterflies does not die after 2 to 6 weeks. They survive, they fly all that way, and then they roost in trees in New Mexico, and they live all over the winter. So it could be October, November, December, January, February, March. They're on the way back to the US right now, North America right now. They're flying. So we don't know whether we'll be seeing them here, but we'll be seeing them soon in the southern states. So the whole of the monarch cycle is an incredible miracle. It truly is. It's a wonder, it's a miracle, it's awe and wonder, it's nature, it's God manifesting in an incredible way in the life cycle of the monarchs. So, monarchs are endangered and the migration is endangered. So the slide shows you the life cycle of the monarch, apart from the itty-bitty egg, which you can just about see next to that itty-bitty caterpillar. But so it's going through this change of form. It's going from the itty-bitty egg into 5 stages of caterpillar, then into a chrysalis, and then into the beautiful monarch butterfly that we know. So going to the beginning, the egg. It is like the size of a pinhead. And so when I raise monarchs in Wisconsin, we go out and find them in wild, in the nature. It's not like farming monarch butterflies, it's finding the wild ones and then giving them a better chance of survival. Because a female monarch butterfly can lay 500 eggs, and out of every 100, only 1 egg will probably survive. And those odds are going down because of spraying herbicides and insecticides and loss of habitat and all of that. So it really becomes a privilege to be able to find those eggs and give them a better chance. Last year I raised 66 monarchs and I had a 99% success rate in liberating them to their freedom and their path. I think also the egg, there is no egg like it. There's not a single egg like that before or in the future. That is so unique. There's only one like that had a mother butterfly and a father butterfly that had been on certain flowers and nectar plants and certain journeys. So that egg is unique. And we are incredible. We are unique expressions of the divine. There's not a single person exactly like us that have had our experiences. There never has been, there never will be. We are unique. Unique expression of divinity here, right now. Matthew Fox has an exercise he often teaches his students, and that's to gaze at an empty chair, I see one at the back, and contemplate all of our brothers and sisters in spirit, in soul, that didn't get a chance to be here on earth right now. And I talked to Patricia Cota-Robles. I listened to Cynthia James last week, and we're going to the metaphysics. They are all saying that we chose and we were selected to be here right now, at this time because, not because our essence is any better than any other souls, but because our experiences in past lives or in this life has brought us to this point where we have the very, very best chance of lifting the whole of Earth into ascension stages, lifting the vibration up. And we have the best chance, because of who we are, of really going from a 3rd, 4th dimensional experience, a planetary experience, to a 5th dimensional crystalline light experience, light body experience. We have the best skills, and we need to remember that we chose to be here, and it's incredibly unique at this time. We have the best skills to bring forth the light in darkness. If we see darkness being flushed up to be dealt with, we are the ones that say, I am the light of the world, and we can all lift that light and lift the vibration. So that's what the maybe humble butterfly egg sort of resonates with me. It's a miracle, and so are we. Oh, I love them. They go through what's known as 5 instars. So the egg comes out, the caterpillar comes out, it eats its own egg. It then eats munch on the milkweed. I learnt hand washing from the monarch butterflies. Milkweed is toxic. If it gets on your hands, don't go anywhere near your eyes or your nose. It's toxic. Mildly toxic to us, but enough not to touch body parts. And it's toxic that most birds will not eat the monarch. A few do, and a few have developed that they can, but it's its protection method of eating the milkweed. And they grow and they shed their skins 5 times. And I look at that as part of what we're doing. We're shedding the old, and new things come up, and then we're shedding the old that no longer serves. So we too are going through all of these stages of shedding what no longer serves us. And I think I won't go through all of the sizes. I mean, they're really itty-bitty, and they grow to what I call a big fatty, endearingly call it a big fatty, the size of my little finger. And you saw that on the video where they're just chomping, 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 chomping. And from my perspective, this whole engagement with butterflies was an engagement with life and living. And you've got to get up in the morning because those big fatties will have munched through all of the leaves I left them. You have to clear their poop, otherwise known as frass. And again, you've got to really wash your hands so as you don't bring any infection to the caterpillars. It's the whole point is to give them a protected environment. So I love, love, love the big fatties. And they can't go hungry. I mean, they must continue. They almost get passion. It's almost like they know what's coming. They have to munch and eat. And I also sometimes reflect and think that is humanity going through that consume, consume, consume stage? You know, is it that we go through that and then we fly? So I think we're going to, after you see when those big fatties, they get restless. They go up and down the ice cream pail or whatever container you have. Sometimes they come down and eat again. Then they go up. And then they go wandering around. And sometimes they gather together, which is frustrating in case they bump each other, because they're going to form a chrysalis. But at that point, there's this total trust in universal wisdom, universal intelligence. And the caterpillar will weave silk, move its body along the silk. Its back end gets connected to an underside of a leaf or the mesh of your ice cream pail, and it adheres. And you never know. I kind of grieve because I'll never see that big fatty again, but I know what it's going to become. I mean, I know it doesn't, unless there's that really innate wisdom. And then this is the bit that I think is really, how do I become a caterpillar? How do I take the next step? What's all the questions at the caterpillar? How long do I stay? You know, this is all in our rational kind of thinking mind, but we have to switch at times, like now, into divine wisdom, the divine wisdom of natural intelligence of God. And so at some point, in divine order, divine timing, it just lets go, and its head just falls down backwards, and it forms this beautiful J, which I call let go and let God, because it's total trust, faith, being demonstrated. And then it really is exciting because the next stage is the chrysalis. And scientists have proved that in the chrysalis, there's always imaginal cells, but the rest of the chrysalis, the caterpillar, basically liquefies inside. So it's like going within, that we go within to find the kingdom of God. The caterpillar within is where all the action is taking place. And so within it liquefies, and imaginal cells are the ones that hold the blueprint of what it's becoming. And I believe that we're all hardwired for God. So within is our blueprint of what we're becoming and what we're called to be. It starts to come out of the chrysalis, and at this point, I can't help, because it has to do it. In order to be strong enough to pump the fluid into its wings, it has to get through the shell of the chrysalis itself. It has to struggle in order to fulfill what it is becoming. So again, that kind of reassures me at times that sometimes in our lives there's struggle, and that sometimes it feels, other than God, that we're all alone and we have to do it ourselves. But sometimes that is really exercising our muscle of becoming who we are meant to be. If I was to help in any way at this point, the butterfly would probably die. So it's got to be able to do it. And then after it emerges, it has to hang there for at least 2-4 hours. If it were in New Mexico, it would dry fairly quickly. If it's in Wisconsin, it might take a whole day to get its wings dry enough to fly. I say this fourth generation, it's wonderful to go and release them. I take them out in these big cubes and open the door, and I've learnt to kind of talk with the butterflies as to whether they want to go. If it's a beautiful day with a good weather forecast, I open the flaps and just allow them to go. And sometimes, if I know that storm's coming, really bad storms, strong winds, tornadoes, I'm going, I might be playing God, but I keep them inside 2-3 days in their cubes, and I give them nectar and fruit. And they're not pleased with me, because the first day they just kind of hang out and dry. But by the second, third, or fourth day, they're flapping, they're ready. They can feel that they should be on their mission, on their purpose. They should be on their way to New Mexico. So when I take those out and open the doors, it's shoo. However, there's a little bit of humor. When you can tell the sex of a butterfly. The butterfly on the video had 2 black dots, so that's a male. And the females don't have the black dots. So I check the sex just for record keeping, and for if I started to tag them. And the females go up, circle around a little bit, and then southwest. No question, they know where they're going. The males, sorry guys, they go up, they wander around, they go north, they go west, they go east. And I'm going, divine wisdom at work, the divine feminine expressed through the feminine butterfly. So I have, if we go to the next slide, I might have. So this is really sort of just to show the change of form, complete change of form. You'd never recognize it as the same species, from egg to caterpillar to chrysalis to butterfly. And then I might have a slide and I might not. What's my next slide? Nope. Well, it's okay. It can hang out there. So I have I've sort of come up with the 7 miracles of butterflies, and the egg is the miracle of existence, being here now. The caterpillars show us shedding our old skins and our old ways of being and our old thoughts. The J-up is the letting go and letting God. The chrysalis, again, is the transformation on the inner level, and we all do our inner level of work. Coming out of the chrysalis is called eclosing or emerging, and that demonstrates struggle and breakthrough. The miracle of flight after the caterpillar has had this completely earthbound experience, then there's the miracle of flight and the migration to a place that they've never been before. And another miracle is, I did not know this, they fly high. The highest altitude of a monarch seen by a glider pilot is 11,000 feet. So they can go up. I mean, I get upset if I see them crossing roads and running into cars, and I bless them. But most of them can get up into those higher airstreams. And so 11,000 feet. And if you think a passenger jet flies at 36,000 feet, Mount Everest is 29,000 feet. 2 miles high is, I think, 10,560 feet. Songbirds migrate at 2,000 to 4,000 feet. And monarchs disappear from view with high-powered binoculars at about 500 to 600 feet. And tallest trees, 378 feet. And monarchs disappear from our regular vision at about 200 to 300 feet. So once they're on that mission to Mexico, they're flying high. So in 2 Corinthians 5, verse 17 from the New Revised Standard Edition of the Bible. So if anyone is in Christ, there is a new creation. Everything old has passed away. See, everything has become new. And I see that as a statement of our becoming, the Christ within us. Everything old has passed away. I was going to share a little bit about my story crossing the migration part was I migrated after those last females were off and coming to Mexico. I began to get that same anxiousness. So on about October 23rd, it was, I got to go now. And my RV, the furnace wasn't working. I don't care, I got to go now. It was that same time. It was time to go. And part of my journey cross country is I've never driven an RV, a motorhome across country before. I don't know how to do it. I still don't know how to do it. And yet, experience 1 mile at a time, 1 day at a time, and prayer. I always would ask God to drive the RV, and I think God is having fun driving the RV. So there was snow in Iowa. I thought, I've never done this before. And most of the journey, Tucumcari, the whole RV was encased in about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch of ice storm, snow, sleet. The interstate was a disaster between Tucumcari and Albuquerque. So again, I tuned in and stayed there until it felt safe to go. The scariest thing was really when I got to Albuquerque. I got to Albuquerque to a nice campground called Enchanted Trails, and a guy came up to be helpful. He said, oh, by the way, a single woman traveling alone, you're not safe. All sorts of things could happen to you. By the way, someone pulled a knife on me last night, and in Texas, a couple disappeared. Their RV was seen crossing the Mexican border, and they were found dead. You're not safe. I thought, oh, thank you. And so I prayed. What do you do? I prayed. The only thing I could do, and the answer that came in prayer was, take it to a higher level of consciousness. We got to take it above that level of consciousness. Otherwise, I would have been attracting what he was talking about. So, what do we do in the face of fear? As I say, my clear answer was take up the consciousness, take our vibrational energies, transcend the fear. And I wrote this before this last week. So the same thing applies to everything that's going on in the worldwide situations. Tyrannies in governments, extreme weather, coronavirus. And it's really important to watch our energy, watch our thoughts, because where our thoughts go, there goes our energy. And we know that thoughts can create. That's part of unity. New thought belief is our thoughts create. I think it was Eric Butterworth who said, thoughts held in mind produce in kind. So what we think about appears. And this morning, I get a communication from the Edgar Cayce, the Association of Research and Enlightenment. And they said, he said, the mental attitude and prayers gain much. For thoughts are things, and their vibration reaches out to every sphere and walk of life related to self and others. So it's really important to watch our thoughts. Romans 12 verse 2 says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds, so that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. So we need to place our thoughts in what is good, acceptable, and perfect. I think my next slide is a butterfly, I think. This was just this, again, the butterfly isn't ashamed of being the caterpillar. There's nothing in our past. All of our past has made us who we are, ready to take on this situation that we're living in right now. So I wanted to just share a few sort of self-care ideas. Watch our thoughts. Affirmative prayer, that's who we are. Affirmative prayer. Heart Math says that we need to be able to go to a place of love and joy and awe and wonder. So I won't say that I haven't had a few little wobbles over the last few days. Few little wobbles, but my technique is to go to my heart and to bring to mind someone I love, people I love, animals I love, beauty of nature. Bring to mind love, that you can generate that real feeling of love in your heart, and that will dissipate the fear. You may have to keep doing it quite a bit. Humor is fantastic. I've seen some wonderful humor on the internet with dogs talking to their humans, the humans are wearing one of those cones, and the dog's saying, "It's for your own good." I mean, so I love humor. The good things to do are to walk in nature, to breathe, to sing. I've been singing in stores and singing in the public restrooms and singing all over the place. I don't sing well, but singing means that I'm breathing and it's raising my energy. I love to sing. Rest and relaxation. As I say, always connecting with the heart space, because when we're in our heart space, we're connecting with intuition. Sunshine. There's usually lots of it. That's good for us health-wise. And gratitude. I do a gratitude practice at the end of the day. And until this morning, I had never, ever conceived of the thought that I'd be doing a gratitude practice for toilet paper in our public restrooms at the RV park. I'm going, oh, we have a roll of toilet paper. Oh, yes, I'm grateful. Thank you, God. So those are my thoughts on fear and how we can begin to overcome fear. And I'd like to share a breathing technique. And I'm hoping that you all have a handout. It's from Patricia Coatue-Robles. And so this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be connecting with God's pure source, oxygen, because oxygen itself really helps the lungs and helps the health of the lungs. So it's a rhythmic, holy breath. And I'll start with an affirmation. I am my I am presence, and I am one with the I am presence of all humanity, as one voice, one breath, one heartbeat, and one energy, one vibration and consciousness of pure divine love. I consciously breathe the most intensified frequencies of God's pure source oxygen from the very core of creation. So we're going to do the rhythmic, holy breathing, and if it's not quite comfortable at a later time, you can just do it at your own speed, because it's always a little harder when I read it. So if it feels a little fast, take a smaller breath. Know that you can do this at your own pace later. So we begin. I am in-breathing God's pure source oxygen. As we hold the breath in, I am assimilating God's pure source oxygen. As I exhale, I am affirming within my heart, I am expanding God's pure source oxygen. As I hold the breath out, I affirm within my heart, I am projecting God's pure source oxygen. And again, as I in-breathe, I affirm within my heart, I am in-breathing God's pure source oxygen. As I hold the breath in, I affirm with my heart, I am assimilating God's pure source oxygen. As I exhale, I affirm within my heart, I am expanding God's pure source oxygen. As I hold my breath out, I affirm within my heart, I am projecting God's pure source oxygen. I'm in-breathing God's pure source oxygen. Holding the breath, I am assimilating God's pure source oxygen. Breathing out, I am expanding God's pure source oxygen. Holding the breath out, I am projecting God's pure source oxygen. I am in-breathing God's pure source oxygen. I'm affirming within my heart, I'm assimilating God's pure source oxygen. Exhaling, I am expanding God's pure source oxygen. Holding the breath out, I am projecting God's pure source oxygen. In breathing God's pure source oxygen. Assimilating God's pure source oxygen. I am expanding God's pure source oxygen. I am projecting God's pure source oxygen. In breathing, I am in-breathing God's pure source oxygen. I am assimilating God's pure source oxygen. Breathing out, I am expanding God's pure source oxygen. And then I'm projecting God's pure source oxygen. I am in-breathing God's pure source oxygen. I am assimilating God's pure source oxygen. I am expanding God's pure source oxygen. And I am projecting God's pure source oxygen. And as you gently bring yourselves back to awareness in this room, we can do that. I'm going to invite Teri to join us for special music, talking about a transformation journey.
Gonna take a transformation journey. Gonna set my heart at ease. Gonna make a transformation journey to renew old memories. Got my bag, I got my reservation. Spend each dime I could afford. Like a child in wild anticipation, I long to hear that all aboard. 7, that's the time we live at 7. I'll be waiting up for heaven, counting every mile of railroad track that takes me back. Never thought my heart could be so yearning. Why did I decide to roam? Gonna take a transformation journey, transformation journey home. 7, that's the time we live at 7. I'll be waiting up for heaven, counting every mile of railroad track that takes me back. Never thought my heart could be so yearning. Why did I decide to roam? Gonna take a transformation journey, transformation journey home, transformation journey home. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Barry, thank you, Teri. That was beautiful.
So, I'll just there. Oh, oh, I forgot about the butterfly. I think he sings as well, doesn't he? So then I think next we go to our prosperity affirmation. If you'd like to join with me, divine love has me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am grateful. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome to Unity of Las Cruces, where we know that God is good
All the time.
We are blessed.
Yes.
Okay, a few things. These are just reminders. Wow, the resource table looks great. Somebody really went through that. Next week's speaker will be Tanya, Reverend Tanya, and we'll figure out all of the different ways that you can make a connection. So worry not. I want to draw your attention to a really smart thing that our board did. So this is an envelope and it is already addressed. Tithing is a very important part of our spiritual circulation. And so just because we are not physically here to put our tithe, our gift, into the bag doesn't mean that we shouldn't make our tithes. So please, generously, with love, use the envelopes. Thank you, that was very wise. So, you know, we have the little box and we put write our prayer requests and we put it in the box. Now, I'm going to tell you that is just a symbol of how we can transmit a prayer request. There are lots of other ways. Just being still is transmitting a prayer request. So just because we're not here and use the box doesn't mean, I have it right here, doesn't mean, thank you dear, doesn't mean that we won't have our prayer requests heard or transferred. So feel free to look at this little handout. And if you don't go to the Unity website often, you might want to start trying to do that a little more often as part of your daily business, spiritual business. So up here are all of the different ways that you can make sure that if it's important enough and you want to do it this way, to get to silent unity. That's what happens to these little pieces of paper, is they get to silent unity. Here are all the different ways you can do that. I keep this by, I will keep this by my phone in my house, by my desk. And because there is a way for us to do it directly. So please say that differently, Kay. We affirm the presence of the ability of all of us to get our prayer requests handled in a divine order in a perfect way. What I didn't know is that my Alexis will help me. So now I have to go back and figure out how to make sure she understands that she's part of my divine work. And CSL will begin its meditation at 9:45, so don't forget we need to scoot, scoot, scoot. But while we are, whatever that distance thing is that everybody thinks we have to have right now, and I honor that. don't forget to self-love. I walked in here this morning and I am so used to touching all of you in some way or another. It feels a little odd not to be able to get a full body squeeze from everybody. So, but I know how to do this, and I've got Mama at home, and we're not afraid of each other, so we'll be doing lots of hugging at home. Don't forget to be patient and kind. I went to the grocery store the other day, and I met some really nice Las Cruces people in line as we were checking out, because it took us almost an hour to get through the line. Never in my existence here it's happened. But we all started laughing, we all started talking, we all started relating. So let your light shine during this time where our metamorphosis has to be a part of, that's our work. That's what we need to be doing, is demonstrating. I don't believe there are any other announcements. And so,
Check YouTube next week.
oh, that's right, tune in.